I was a fool at one time and I bought a Lotus Esprit. And I don't know if you've ever had an absolutely crazy girlfriend that was constantly breaking down, but that's the only way that you can look at a Lotus Esprit. You sit behind the wheel of one of these things and you really feel in control. And Tony picks on the steering wheel. He's not a fan of that steering wheel.
No. Aventador steering wheel I'm not a fan of. This steering wheel is great. I like the Huracan steering wheel.
I didn't realize that they were different.
Oh yeah, very
I got
different.
a chance to drive an Aventador, and it has that single clutch box in it, which is just, you can't go from a Ferrari or a McLaren to an Aventador and not be really annoyed by that single clutch box.
Yeah.
And I'm surprised, and I like that this has a dual clutch transmission in it, because that's where technology is today. And I know that they don't have room to fit a dual clutch box in the Aventador, but honestly, I think they should have found room, especially these days with that thing. And I know it's discontinued now, but it's time to dual clutch everything.
Yeah, I mean, extend it. It's already long enough. You might as well.
And the thing is if you're not having a manual transmission, which honestly, these days in the types of vehicles that these are, a manual transmission would be absolutely out of place.
Oh yeah, totally. That's why, I mean, we were even talking about the Cayman GT4 RS, if you get a chance to look at that episode. And that's a really cool car, but to me, that should have a manual transmission.
Oh,
and
you're right.
To your point, exotics,
Yeah.
no more exotics can have a manual transmission.
You're right.
You really can't.
They still don't absolutely belong. I tell you what, once you go to a mid-engine car of sorts, not a Porsche. Porsche's exception to the rule, because every time I see a Porsche, especially like we talked about the 718 where it's got the tachometer like the 917 in it, it gives you that retro feel.
Right.
So you can have a manual transmission in that because you're buying it like people buy the Mazda Miatas. They bought those because it's the driving experience.
Yeah.
But with these cars, it's not really the driving experience. It's about being comfortable and comfortably going fast.
Yeah, right.
So I think it's a little bit different thing. I do like on this, it's got a big old screen.
Big old touch
if you
screen,
do
yeah.
have to have touch screen, it's giant and it's there and it's not used for everything.
And I love the forged carbon look that they keep using, which is instead of doing the carbon fiber weave, it looks like
that
ice
at first.
kind of shattered.
I hated that at first, and I like it now.
Oh, it looks so good.
Yeah,
Especially in the trunk compartment, you open that up and a light hits it. Oh.
Yeah. All right, I will drink to that because I'll drink to anything. Cue whiskey, girl. The thing that scares me now is that I can see that the tides are changing in the performance market. I see a lot more electric stuff coming on. And I know, because I'm just saying is that Lamborghini's promising now that their supercars are all going to have electric stuff in it. And let's get this straight. I would rather kill us all than buy an electric car.
I'm right there with you.
I don't want it. I don't need it, because you're putting on all this extra weight, all this extra technology to pick up 150 horsepower and 150 pounds of torque or whatever. Turn the boost up or make a little more power with the engine.
Throw a supercharger on it.
Absolutely.
Underground Racing does some great stuff.
Absolutely, yeah. You can get all of that power without all of the complexity of it. So I don't know why they're pushing that on us, but I'm not buying it.
It's almost like they're trying to keep the tree huggers at bay by saying, "Oh, we're going hybrid," but they're not going hybrid for gas mileage.
As you add to the complexity of these vehicles, you add to the problems with them breaking down. Now,
maintenance.
I was a fool at one time, and I bought a Lotus Esprit. And I don't know if you've ever had an absolutely crazy girlfriend that was constantly breaking down, but that's the only way that you can look at a Lotus Esprit. But it gets worse. I doubled down. I sold that Lotus Esprit, and then I bought a Lotus Esprit V8. So at this point in time, I not only thought that the car was insane like the Crazy Girlfriend, I figured that I was insane too. Why did I do it again? Yeah. And when I bought it, immediately I drove it for a week, and then it started its Lotus loads of trouble, usually serious breaking down thing. And I said, why did I do this again? And the dang of it is that I saw a Lotus Esprit V8 the other day, and I wanted it.
Oh, they look good. They look really good. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah,
but I would never own one.
Yeah, they're definitely problem childs. And if you take and start adding to the complexity of a vehicle that already is, they're a pretty rough ride. That roughness adds to the potential for them to break down.
Sure.
I mean, if you get something that's a smooth ride and it's not getting beaten around. I was driving my Ferrari at Daytona track, and I hit the inside rumble strips really hard, and it set off a code in the computer. I just stopped the car and reset it. This was on a California. It wasn't on my 458, but it just hit the rumble strips, and it set off a body suspension code because the computer got shook so hard from the rumble strips.
Right.
So, I mean, this is going to run into, why isn't this going to run into the same problem?
It's not an STO. That's why.
Well, the STO, if you ever get a chance to ride in one of those STOs, the same thing. It's going to knock you. You ever driven in an ACR Viper?
No, not yet.
And we've talked about this before. That's like getting beat to death with canned goods. I mean, those things absolutely kill you.
Yeah.
And but you have to have that stiff ride on those things in order to have it be proper at the racetrack. If you get them too smooth and too compliant, they're too squishy, and they don't change direction properly.
But let's be serious. You're not tracking this car. This is a car to go to dinner in. You're going your daily commute to work or wherever your yacht, wherever you're going. I don't know, but this isn't a track car. So to me, this is exactly what it should be. It's the upper scale R8 V10, and I love it. I always have.
Well, when the Huracan come out, when this version come out, and then the Gallardo was out, it's like going to if you're thinking about buying a Gallardo, it's like going to the track and making that 50-1 bet. I mean, you know you're wasting money because that horse is going to be dog food next week. And that's the thing with buying a Gallardo.
I'd still get a Gallardo.
You can't buy a Gallardo now because the Huracan is out. Bar so much higher that when you see the Gallardo, and a friend of mine has one of those Gallardos that's the rear-wheel drive version, the Balboni version,
550-2,
and I have a lot of respect for that car.
Even came in a manual as well.
Yeah, so that is the exception to the rule for me, because when I see a Balboni, I see hardcore. It's like the ZR1 Corvettes of the era. Back in the era when everybody hated Corvettes, and then the ZR1 came out,
you're like,
everybody said, okay, yeah. Well, that's what the Balboni is. So no matter what happens to the whole Gallardo stigma, because Gallardos are getting to be $60,000 cars now. But
I love me a Super Trofeo.
I know, but the Balboni is different. It stands out. It's like the ZR1 Corvettes of that era. You know, so the same kind of thing.
So don't make fun of me if I get a Gallardo, is what he's saying.
Well, the thing is about this car is that I would still make fun of you if you got a Gallardo because the Huracan exists, and I really think you're wasting money. But if you buy this Huracan, you already know that the STO exists. So if you don't show up with all the scoops and all the flares and all the stuff, you're getting lapped.
Nah, but I don't agree because you're either going to spend, well, let's just call it probably $300K on a Huracan Evo.
Right.
Or you're spending $500,000 on an STO. What the sticker price that we saw, the few that we've seen so far?
Oh yeah, you're right.
I mean, those were upper fours, if not fives.
And this thing has everything on it that you need, the regular Huracan. I mean, it's got the rear wheel steering. It's got that adaptive braking that McLaren uses now. Yeah. So it's got the computerized shocks, you know, the adaptive dampers on it. So it's got a lot of really crazy, good quality stuff on it. So I guess if you knew a lot about the vehicle, you could still park next to an STO and not feel like you're really getting lapped as long as you're aware of all the technology that's in that car. Because it looks like a nice, shapely, attractive car, but it doesn't look intimidating. It doesn't look scary to me.
Right. Yeah, no, it'd be a great car to, you know, if it's just you and somebody else, you're going out to dinner, like I said, your daily commute to work or just running around town, this would be a fun car to have.
Do you hear an alarm going off? Well, we all know the people that fell into that sucker's bet and they bought that electric car when for less money they could have bought the Hellcat. And I know that they say, oh, the electric cars are the future. Well, they're not my future and I'm not going to do it.
Not part
and
of mine either.
I absolutely agree with old St. Peter when he's not letting that guy in. This car may be the end. It may be, Lamborghini, like they said, is promising all of that electric stuff. And I think they're going to hurt themselves because I think that there's a lot more of us out there that are going to be against this electric push, and they're not going to buy those cars, and we're going to switch over to Ferraris or McLarens as long as they stay away from that whole complexity.
But I don't know if they are, because even look at McLaren with the Artura. It's a V6 now instead of the V8.
And I don't have a problem with the V6, but I don't like electric motors on stuff when it doesn't need one. If you're just putting it on it to just be kitschy, it's ridiculous. You don't need it.
Yeah,
so
especially after a naturally aspirated
exactly.
engine. I get it on some of the turbocharged cars because you want to have that, lag that for the turbos and everything. But on a naturally aspirated V12 or a V10,
I don't think that they're going to be really happy with sales on those cars when they do add all that electric stuff, because I have yet to talk to anyone that says, I'm excited about the new electric Lamborghinis that are going to have all that stuff on there. I have not found a single person that's excited about that.
They try to push it towards me. I have some friends that are very gung-ho about the fact that Lamborghini has been doing this super capacitors with their cars, which is sweet, like in the Sion, but it's not for MPG. It's not for your going greenness. It's so that the car can be faster.
It's interesting to me that they actually release a mile per gallon figure on this car, because no one that buys a Lamborghini of any sort expects any kind of miles per gallon, because they don't get them. But like a McLaren, you can get insane miles per gallon from a McLaren.
Sure, with twin turbos, ProSystemsTurbo.com.
And the 7-speed automatic, and the 7-speed transmission pulls the RPMs way down super low when you're on the highway. So the McLaren will get like 25, 26 miles per gallon.
Right.
This gets about 16 to 18 miles per gallon, and it's probably closer to 13.
Right, yeah, I was going to say.
And that's the thing. And my Ferrari's the same way, because it spins so many RPMs when it's cruising down the road. The mile per gallon isn't as good as it could be. Yeah. If they used 7th gear and dropped it way back to like 2,000 RPMs instead of 3,000 RPMs at 65 mile an hour, you'd save a ton of fuel. So I don't know why they don't do that, why they've got these RPMs so high on a lot of these performance cars. They really need to pull them down. They can get the mileage up. But I like the fact that the car, it's a over 200 mile per hour car, which any kind of performance car these days has to crack 200 miles per hour.
Yep.
I was a little disappointed in that when the C8 Corvette came out, the very first one, that it wasn't a 200 mile per hour car. It went 194, which 194 is a pretty good number, don't get me wrong. But at the same time, if you're going to debut a new mid-engine body style and you want to run with the mid-engine guys and be respected by the mid-engine guys, you're going to have to hit 200. So, and it wouldn't take that much more power to get that thing up over that. I think they should have done that, at least made that option available before they even released the car.
Yeah, I don't know. I really like the V10 that's in this. I think it's great sounding. It's fast. It'll give you whiplash if you want it. I'm still confused why they're doing a rag top still on the convertible or Spyder version of this. That doesn't make sense to me. I mean, even Ferrari has a hard top. And we also have to point out, no Lambo doors. And I get it. I think if you put Lambo doors or the scissor doors on this, that nobody would get the Aventador, but I think they need to.
I don't think people cross over from the Aventador to the Huracan. I think that if you owned a Huracan, you moved up to the Aventador once you could afford to move up to the Aventador. Mm-hmm. I don't think the doors are a selling point, because they're not to the Ferraris. I mean, the Ferrari, all the 458s, 488s, Tributos,
but Ferraris
everything
always had regular doors.
Yeah, you got a point
Lamborghini
there.
went to the scissor doors, so why are you going to have two? I mean, look at McLaren's. you have those dihedral doors. It's on every model, no matter what model you get. And that's, to me, you're spending that kind of money, give me something. Come on. That makes me smile. When I see those go up, I love it.
I do love the McLaren doors. I think they're really,
do that on the Huracan or something. Make it, okay, I get it. The scissor doors is only for the Aventador, for the big brothers.
You know, when they come out with a new model, Lamborghini, when you come out with a new model to replace this Huracan, do the doors.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Or the swan doors like Aston Martin, or Suicide. Let's go Suicide. I don't care. Suicide doors. Suicide doors.
All right, I think it's time. I got to see where he's sitting on this thing. I hear a squealing noise. One of my biggest problems with this car is it's a little boy racer to me. I mean, it doesn't really have that kind of elegant styling that I can use for date nights. It has more of a, this is Saturday night, I'm going to go out with the boys, we're going to race around in the dark someplace and cause a little bit of trouble look. And that's not really my cup of tea. I think that this car is geared more towards the younger executive that's making 6 digits. You know what I mean? I think that, and that's not me. I hate to harm it in styling because of that, so I'm going to try to not be biased towards the boy racer thing, and I think my styling is still going to be correct, and I'm at a 58.
Okay, I get it for the 58. I get this styling and everything, and I understand Ferraris are refined. They're elegant. That's the way they are. They're not loud. They're not obnoxious. The Lamborghinis are an expression of who you are or what you are. That's why you can get it in any color you want. The Fluo Capsule, which is a new version of the Evo that you can get, comes in all these crazy matte, highlighter colors that you can do. And it's loud, and it's fun, and it's meant to be an expression. To me, it's never going to lose a place in my heart. Even when I am old and gray, I'm still going to like it, even if it's not going to be enjoyable to drive.
The biggest problem, though, is it lacks the ostentatiousness of the STO. And that's the thing.
But it's not ostentatious because it's an STO, and that's a track-focused car. So we can't really put it in the same category. Even though I'd like to, it's not the same category.
Right. I think that
and you can do this elegantly. You can do this elegantly. You've seen some really good colors. You've seen the STO in some very nice colors.
This has a precedent. Tony and I argued about this all last night, so I'm going to try to cut this off before it turns into fisticuffs. Where are you at on a number?
So 60 for styling because I love it. There's so many things you can do with it. I think it's a Huracan. It's not a Huracan. I like it.
In performance, it's got a really good number. It's not a big, crazy, super high-powered car. It's not. The horsepower level is proper for the car that it is. It's not overpowered. It's not underpowered. And so I gave it a decent number, and I gave it a 60.
Oh, okay, yeah, we're not too far off. I mean, to me, this is the when you can afford more than the R8 V10, you go for this car. Same motor, more horsepower, more fun. I give it a 63.
Oh, okay, so just a little bit better. So Tony came down. He became less whiskey, more reasonable.
I don't know about less whiskey, but
giving it a toast.
I'm definitely giving it a toast.
Congratulations, Lamborghini. You got a toast. Well, thanks for watching. Be sure to like and subscribe. And you know what they say, if you have an opinion that's different than ours, keep it to yourself.